first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And welcome back to Fox 12 Now. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Greg Nibbler here with Ezra Kaplan. Actually, I'm going to step in there. There we go.
There we go.
Get myself in that shot. We appreciate everybody who's joined us. We're live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. We get to do these longer form segments here where we can break down some of these big issues and big things that we've been covering that certainly affect everybody's lives. And this is one of those, the National Guard court case regarding the potential deployment, the legality of potential deployment of National Guard troops to the city of Portland, to that ICE facility there in South Portland. This is something that we have all been covering that had so many different angles to cover, but there's a really specific thing that's going to be happening sometime between right now, when we're live here, and 5 p.m. on Friday.
That's right. So we've got a deadline coming up, 5 p.m. Friday, tomorrow evening. That's when Judge Karen Immergut says that she will have a decision in the case. And now, you might have been following this story for quite a while. There's been a lot of back and forth with temporary restraining orders, a temporary restraining order being appealed to the Ninth Circuit, something called an en banc rehearing. That's all been going on, but all of those things have been kind of in the meantime while the underlying case is decided. What we're looking at for tomorrow is that underlying case. So once we get a decision on that, it kind of puts all the other, intermediary and other kind of temporary things off to the side, and it gives us some guidance on what the federal court, what the district court says is legal or is not legal, and how the Trump administration needs to proceed if they want to try to deploy National Guard troops to Portland, specifically that ICE facility.
And this is the trial that was going on, was it just last week? Right, what's just last week? Yeah, 3 days last week. And it's the state of Oregon, city of Portland, and the state of California on there.
The state of California is also part of the plaintiffs.
Part of that, and suing the federal government, the Trump administration.
That's right.
Over this, and 3 days of testimony back and forth, everybody bringing witnesses. And so the judge, it's one judge.
It's one judge, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got one judge, and so just to give everybody a little bit of a crash course on federal court cases and how they go.
Thank you. Yeah.
There's two different court systems operating in everywhere, right? But let's just look at Oregon. You've got your municipal or state court system. That's where things are processed and they reach the highest level of the Oregon Supreme Court. Those are separate from the federal court system. So those are things that are going to be covered under state laws, whether those are crimes or maybe civil issues or family court type things. Those all go under one thing. The federal court system is totally separate. And the way that that works is that you start at the district level, which is where this case is now. Then you go to the appeals level, which is the Ninth Circuit. That's where Oregon is. It actually covers a good chunk of the western United States. And then you go to the U.S. Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. And so, when you hear about Supreme Court cases, you're hearing about federal cases like this one.
Yep, that would go up to that level. So,
that's right.
So right now, the district court case, Judge Immergut, and then she is going to make this decision on this. And the decision is essentially, is it legal for the Trump administration to send in troops to the ICE facility?
That's right. So what's going
to Portland in general?
Yeah, it's specifically to the ICE facility is part of it. It's really more of a question around, well, let's back up for one second. So the whole case is based around a September 28th memo or order from President Trump to federalize and deploy National Guard troops from Oregon to Portland, specifically to, I think his language was to protect the ICE facility, to protect federal property. The question in this case is whether or not his reasoning for doing that is valid. And the state of Oregon and Portland are suing. They're asking a court to determine whether or not it is valid. They're alleging that it's not, that the reasoning that President Trump gave for the troop deployment aren't legitimate and aren't legally sound enough to base that decision off of.
Gotcha. And so that's the crux of it. That's what this is really determining. Now, this decision, and again, she gave a deadline, I think, of 5
p.m. tomorrow.
5 p.m. on November 7th.
That's right.
Friday, November 7th. So, and that could happen at any time. That's up to her discretion as far as, but yes.
That's the deadline she gave herself, and knowing this judge a little bit, it'll be by then.
It'll be by that deadline. So say this comes through and just we'll say they rule on the side of the plaintiffs, which would say, that she is backing their idea that it is illegal for the Trump administration to send in troops. So say that does happen. What with the temporary restraining order, the Ninth Circuit stuff, all that, does that just kind of go away?
To a certain extent, it does. So the 2 temporary restraining orders, they do go away.
Okay.
So those, once there is an actual ruling in the case, those go away. Now, it gets a little complicated because one of those got elevated to the appeals court, and it doesn't just automatically disappear from the appeals court, even though a decision has been made in that underlying trial, which I know is confusing.
Yeah.
But I've talked to some legal experts about this. The Trump administration has actually asked to withdraw their appeal of the temporary restraining order, so to remove it from the appeals court. The plaintiffs, Oregon and Portland, are actually saying we don't want it removed from the appeals court. And here's why that's important. Because whatever the decision is by tomorrow evening will almost certainly be appealed, whether the Trump administration loses or whether the state of Oregon and Portland lose. Whichever side lose, they will most likely appeal. So going back to the appeals court dealing with this temporary restraining order, what the legal experts who I've talked to say is that the state of Oregon and Portland are actually more interested in this en banc hearing, this greater panel of 10+1 judges to continue hearing the issue, because whatever they decide on that temporary restraining order, which, like I said, would no longer even be in play, but their decision would be binding for any appeal on that underlying court case.
Gotcha.
And so what they're hoping is for that appellate court to continue with their deliberations, to issue an opinion. And what they're gambling on is that by having a broader swath of judges from the Ninth Circuit, there's a better chance that it's going to go their way. And
Gotcha.
the context for that is that the Ninth Circuit has historically been one of the more liberal appeal circuits in the country. If you kind of want to play a little bit of going back, the panel of 3 judges that looked at that initial appeal did have 2 Trump appointees on it. Fewer than half of the judges in the Ninth Circuit are Trump appointees, and so they're kind of gambling on the roll of the dice on which judges are assigned. They think they have a better chance of keeping it with that larger panel. And that would then more or less tie the appellate court's own hands on how they deal with this underlying appeal. And I know that's very complicated.
Yeah.
But that's where this all stands.
At the end of the day, when it comes to troops potentially being deployed, the ruling, say the ruling tomorrow, or whenever it comes through, goes in the favor of the Trump administration. Does that mean that they can instantly start going in?
In theory, it could.
In theory.
However,
Since the other restraining order is still being debated.
Well, there's 2 things. One is that the temporary restraining orders will no longer matter, but there is an administrative stay from the appellate court that is basically says pause, maintain the status quo.
Okay.
So it most likely wouldn't immediately go into effect. I think what we would most likely see is a decision plus an administrative stay. And what that means is the judge says, here's my decision. And I understand that it will most likely be appealed. So while my decision is here, we're not going to do anything with it for X number of days, 5 or 14 days, most likely. And what that does is it gives the losing side time to appeal to a higher court, and it gives them this time to say, hey, we're going to take this on, pause, don't do anything. Long story short, there's a lot of opportunities for pauses. There are fewer opportunities for things to actually move forward. So I think most of the folks who I've talked to don't anticipate that we get a decision and suddenly troops are on the streets. There's still a lot of legal hurdles that need to be navigated before that happens.
Okay, good to know. And Ezra, there's a lot of different things here, if that's, moving parts. But yeah, that's kind of boiling it down. On what we're going to be looking at. So again, that decision could come, as I said, anytime between now and 5 p.m. tomorrow on Friday. We'll be here with that when it does come through, whatever hour of the day that is. We'll have that information for you and bring it to you, whether that's later today during Fox 12 Now, whether our regular newscasts, whatever it may be, and we'll have the breakdown of what that means at that point and what we hear from each side at that point too.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll hear from each side.
Absolutely.
And that part I can almost guarantee. that we'll hear something from everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, a lot going on there. And if you have questions, feel free to email those in if you do have some. And if we can get an answer for you, we will. But we also have lots of information at kptv.com. If you want to dig through this and go all the way back, we've got tons of different things and articles and coverage on there that you can go through and really dig into it if you really want to. Or if you just want hey, what's happening right now, we'll have that for you too. So all of that's here. So Ezra, thank you.
Absolutely.
Always good to break these things down with you. And thanks everybody for watching. So this is Fox 12 Now. We've got plenty more coming up here throughout the afternoon. We are going to take a break for right now. We'll be back later on covering all these big stories that are happening today. So we'll have that for you. Download that Fox 12 Oregon app. We'll send you a notification if there's breaking news. And until then, I'll talk to you here in just a little bit. I'm Greg Niblett. This is Fox 12 Now.